Welcome to the channel. In this video we will be giving this laundry room a makeover. It's in pretty poor shape. The walls are covered in nicks and scratches and looks like drywall mud that wasn't sanded, so there's globs of that everywhere. It's really outdated. Needs to be changed for sure. It's outdated, rough shape. So we're going to get this remodeled. Our plan for this is to keep it really cheap. So we got some paneling. We're using anything we have laying around the house. We kept this around the $200 mark, but that made a pretty big improvement. Now, when we're ripping these cabinets down, there were some hidden screws that I didn't see, and they damaged the walls a little bit, but we're going to be going through and sanding and patching all these walls anyways. See right there, it ripped right out of the wall. Since we moved in, this room has pretty much been in this condition. My dad and I did a little bit of damage here because we remodeled the bathroom that's behind this wall, but it's been in this condition, and I'm, for one, concerned about leaking and water damage, so we had to get this done. Plus, it was an eyesore. Jeanette's going through and removing any corner trim, quarter round, and some of the trim that's in our way. And some that needs repainted or cleaned. So we went through and sanded all the walls. I have a 80 grit sandpaper on this. We sanded all these rough spots smooth and all the chunks of drywall mud, and tried to smooth out these walls as best as possible. And then we went through with drywall mud and skim coated certain areas, and then patched all the holes that were left behind and scratches, just to try and get as smooth walls as we can. It's definitely not going to be perfect, but it's going to be better than it is. After that was all dry, we used 220 grit sandpaper and sanded and sanded and sanded everything smooth. This was the worst part of the entire project. I give props to people who do drywall for a living because I wouldn't want to do it. That wasn't much fun at all. For the paint, we had some leftover whites and grays at our house that were almost empty, so we mixed them together to get a color we enjoyed. It's essentially just a light gray color. Now, initially starting this project, I didn't think I was going to replace this washer valve box, but as soon as I turned off the water for the cold water, that valve started leaking, so I decided the whole thing needed to be replaced just to be safe. So right here I'm assembling it. I just locked the valves in, and I'm using sharkbite connectors, so it's super easy. When I get to that point, I'm just going to be able to shove the water lines right into those shark bites, and anyone could do it. Because we aren't drywalling this, which is nice because this makes it so much easier, putting this new box in was super easy because I didn't have to patch anything when I was done. We're just throwing paneling over this entire wall and hiding it. So, easy way to do it. Putting this box in was surprisingly easy, and it looks so much better than the last one did. Right here I'm using tube cutters just to cut those old connections off, and here's what I was talking about. You just shove that hose or that tube right into the shark bite connector and you're done. Simple. After that was done, we took a ton of measurements of that wall. Some of those measurements we're not going to use, but we transferred them to our bead board, which is the paneling we're going to use to cover that wall. Cut them, and we are painting these black. This paint is something we had at the house. It's just a pre-mixed Walmart paint. Once they were dried, we used an air nailer to attach them to the walls. We bought a 10-foot 2x12, cut it in half to make two 5-foot shelves. I sanded them with 220 grit sandpaper to remove stamps and marks and just to make it smoother. We rounded the edges too. We used polyurethane to finish these shelves for one main reason. Cleaning raw wood is a pain, so we wanted a nice smooth surface to wipe off when it gets dusty. That's the biggest reason we did it. I personally liked the raw wood color better, but again, trying to clean off raw wood is a real pain in the ass. I used 2 coats of polyurethane. After the first coat dried, I used this 320 grit sandpaper and lightly sanded it so it was nice and smooth. Most of the supplies we're using for this project we bought at the Home Depot. A lot of the stuff we already had, but stuff like the shelf brackets, the washer valve box, the paneling, the wood, we bought all that stuff at the Home Depot. I didn't show any footage of this getting built, but all it is some pegboard, and then we liquid nailed trim right to that pegboard, clamped it and let it dry. So it's essentially built like those picture frames or those mirrors you buy at Walmart, and hung it up. We just put some screws into the wall here because we had a piece of wood for that door frame that's there. We screwed the screws into that, and I have it hanging up on sawtooth picture frame hangers. And this covers up our furnace, and all these holes are a ton of ventilation for that furnace to get air. There's a seam here because we had to put 2 panels together. This was one panel. It's a 2x4 foot, and then we cut this one down to size and put a piece of wood back there. You can see we forgot to paint it black. Yeah, you can see. And just screwed the panels to that. And once we got these this trim glued on and dried, this thing was super solid and super sturdy, and it's lightweight, so it can be hung by just picture frame hangers. We were going to try to build a door, but this is way more convenient, and we had all these supplies for it, so it was free. And here's the before and after. I hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching.